Howdy, folks, and welcome to Moose Podcast number 483. If you're not moving forward, Happy New Year to you, folks. Trust you are all doing really well. We're into the new year, 5 days already? And maybe it's New Year's resolutions, maybe it's time off. But I appreciate the emails and questions. There's been a lot already this year. Of course, this is the one time of the year you always can say today, I'll see you next year. And it's truly the next year, the next day. Kind of a lot of fun things that comes with New Year's. We were blessed again. I can't get over all the blessings that we are afforded. And we got to spend New Year's Eve flying around in a beautiful Staggerwing, and then New Year's Day. It's magical. It's an amazing world that we get to explore with our cameras, especially. I hope one of your New Year resolutions was to share more of your life and experiences through your photography. We need to see all that good stuff, probably as much as ever now. So please, share. Let me know. I want to see it. I'm out there looking as much as I can. I trying to spend a little bit less time in social media as far as my viewing goes, because I'll be honest with you, I don't like the fact that I have to think about, and analyze what I'm seeing. Is it real or is it something else? So you can rest assured I'm still going to be the same real boring person I've always been, so I appreciate you sticking around. This episode of the Moose Podcast is being created using Adobe Beta Podcast, which uses AI to clean up the voice and creates the transcript. Now, you can find all this material many places. The one I prefer you go to personally is the website, because there's a dedicated blog post to every one of the podcasts, which has photographs I've talked about or something I've talked about during the podcast, as well as links like to book recommendations, as well as the transcript. But you can head to other places, YouTube and Spotify and iTunes, all those places. And I appreciate your folks. According to the stats, the listening time and the audience increased in 2025, and I am grateful for that increase. It's double digits, and of course, I would always love more just so I could reach more folks, but I do appreciate your being there and getting back in touch with me. So one of the big questions that came in since Christmas, which is in the rearview mirror, but it's not really that long ago, is about the Nikon Z9. Right before Christmas, you might remember that they dropped firmware 5.3 for the Z9, bringing a number of really cool things to it, which includes the dark tone monochrome. So I've had people ask everything from my ACR settings, but the most common question is, have I gone back to shooting the Z9 more than the Z8? Statistically, yeah, because I'm getting to experiment, learn, and put into action some of the upgrades in the Z9 just to verify for myself that they are upgrades, which they are. They all rock. The autofocus, yeah, I don't know how they made the autofocus a little bit better, but they did. Into my thinking, it just brought kind of the Z9 up to all the specs of the Z8, which was kind of in the front with its firmware upgrade until the Z9 got its. So yeah, I'm using the Z9 more than Z8 right now. And so I had to think a little bit more. I have to have a different battery charger and things like that. But whether you get a Z9 or Z8 or Z6 III, whatever body that you happen to have, it is going to be the best body for you. The main reason is because you own it. It's already in your bag. So then you just have to make it your best friend. And once you make it your best friend, no matter what I or anybody else shoots, it's really irrelevant because it's your best friend. And that camera is going to be with you for those moments that hopefully you're going to share with the rest of us. So what more can you ask from a camera than to do that? It's the nature of photography to always want more, but I'm here to tell you, you've already got it. You just have to make the most of it. And the number one way of doing that, and I don't know any way around this, is you just keep shooting. If you don't keep shooting, you won't make that your best friend. It won't be the best camera for you because you'll be fighting it rather than working with it. So I was given a book for Christmas. I meant to get it when it first got released because it was written by a dear friend of mine, and it just completely slipped off the radar. And that's James Bush's The Fight in the Clouds. If you don't know Jim, he is the editor for a number of aviation magazines, part of the EAA team. Just a great guy, really good photographer. Well, he also has a passion for P-51s. The Fight in the Cloud are this big collection of firsthand stories told him by a whole lot of World War II P-51 pilots, aces, many of them. Some of them, they'll names you'll recognize. Some of them you won't. A few are friends of ours. And Jim just has this great way of bringing out of them stories that, at least I know I hadn't heard from these folks firsthand. It's a really great read. So that's James Busha, The Fight in the Clouds. You'll find the link there on my blog page for the podcast. I want to thank my good friends at Bedford, bedfords.com, for sponsoring the Moose podcast. These are great folks. They have coming up in February a fashion workshop with my dear friend Dixie Dixon. Dixie is the best. She is, God, talk about someone who just can tell a story with light. Wow, she is killer. And Bedford's has her for that weekend there in February doing fashion. It's going to be just a killer workshop. I highly recommend you check it out. Where do you check it out? Go to bedfords.com, where I've been telling you folks for so long. In fact, now I think about it, I haven't bought anything this year from them. I'm behind. Anyway, they've got the killer inventory. They've got the great staff. They've got the killer prices. And you call them up, go to the website, go to the store. They got 7 locations. You're going to experience the Bedford experience that so many have, that just keeps them growing and going, and they keep us growing and going. So I want to thank Bedford's for sponsoring the Moose podcast. I first started out a long time ago on a project that my mom volunteered me to do. It's one of those things like, gee, thanks, Mom. And I had no knowledge at the time, none, even for years afterwards, what the ripple effects would be from working with Elise Belzverio. I've relayed that story many times in the photograph, and how I was told by somebody, probably say that species from extinction. And that story had kind of slipped from my own mind, in that even though the tear sheets are mounted on my wall and framed, and the print's right next to it, and I technically could see it every day, but, life. So then I was watching a episode of Last Man Standing, which, if you've ever watched it, it's a very interesting, very funny show. Written, sounds like, supporting just the conservative side of life, but you realize that you wouldn't hear about the conservative side if they didn't have the liberal side, and the writers didn't write it all. So you are being exposed to both, even though most people think it's just strictly leaning to the conservative side. Just the writing is phenomenal to me. Anyway, in an episode a couple days ago, they were talking, and Mike says to his daughter Eve, and he said, you remember the old military saying, if you're not advancing, and Eve says, you're retreating. That got me thinking, so I went to look up the origin of that, and it's really a derivative of a very more common saying, which is, if you're not moving forward, you're moving backward. And when I read where it probably was derived from back in the day, I realized that was told to me many decades ago, and I had forgotten that had been relayed to me, and that it planted a deep seed, one that until I heard it on a sitcom and then looked it up, had totally gone out of my consciousness and had just kind of melted away. And it's probably why, I'm not going to go on a couch under hypnosis to figure it out, why that photograph of Lee Spells Vario has driven me for all these decades. I used to talk about it in presentations too, how being told that I had been partially responsible for saving a species, it gave me a real certain drive. And I realized that if I didn't keep pushing, I wouldn't be moving forward. And the rest of that saying, I'm sure knowing me, I just blew it off. Bad thing to do. And a bad habit I used to have. Because if you think it all the way through, if you're not moving forward, then the very best you're doing is standing still. And the worst is you're moving backwards. Is the best you're doing standing still really doing your best? I have the feeling it's probably why when those moments come and I'm not just going full speed ahead on many projects at one time, I start to beat myself up. It's like, what's wrong with me? Why am I not getting this stuff? Why am I not moving forward? I've got the feeling it's so embedded in me so far now, and it's caused other issues in my psyche, in the fact that at best I'm standing still. I would really like to know, I sometimes wish I had a way of rewinding the tape to figure this out. But then it's like, okay, dwelling on this whole not moving forward, just dwelling on it could be, at best, standing still, and most definitely is moving backward. Photography is this amazing gift that we have the opportunity to use anytime we feel like picking it up. Digital, people, I'm often asked, do you ever want to go back to film? It's like, with 36 exposures now costing $25, and that's not even processing. No, I don't want to move back to film for that reason. And then the storage and everything else. What I want to move forward with is actually, as I said in my New Year resolution, shooting more. So I've actually started, and I'm kind of a little bit proud of myself in that, trying to move forward, that when I'm driving somewhere, I've actually added more time to my drive. So I have time to stop and pull over and take those shots that in the past, I would have just said, that was really cool, and kept on going rather than stopping and making that moment. Now, there is a couple of inherent dangers in this. One is, you're on the side of the road. That's not always a safe thing, especially in the wintertime. The other thing is, as you're driving, your vision and your mind is really good at filtering out certain things that once you stop, you look, you go, okay, not really as good as a photograph as I had, vision as I drove by it at 80 miles an hour. But I did make that change hoping that if I stop a little bit more, I'm going to be moving forward. As I mentioned, I've taken this deep dive into video editing, which, thanks to my son Brent, over the New Year's, he really helped me solidify some things that I can begin to repeat it to you or teach it to you, but it did help me connect some dots so then I can kind of keep moving forward and teaching myself. And that's the goal here in this, moving forward, not standing still and not moving backwards. Because in that statement, if you're not moving forward, at best you're standing still. Forward doesn't have an increment. It doesn't have millimeters or inches or feet or miles or days or months or years. It's just a process of moving in one direction, forward. And that's the blessing of it, right? Is the fact that if you're moving forward, you are moving forward. So it is such a simplistic goal. We should all have that in our New Year's resolution, in our weekly goal, monthly goal, yearly goal, 5-year plan. Is just the simple moving forward. And that's probably what really, after I thought about this for many days, what really clicked is that it's not the increment that matters. It's the act of just moving forward. You folks have a marvelous first week of the new year. Appreciate hearing from you folks. I appreciate you guys lighting up my YouTube channel with my latest silly little simple advice video. More to come. But you guys stay in touch. Take care. And remember to make every click your story.